The Thunder have some early favorites on the MVP list so far this season. I know we're only about 2 weeks into this NBA season. However, these two Thunder guys have been playing good enough to get some nods and attention and going, hey, they could potentially win the MVP trophy this season. Now, like I mentioned, very early on in the season, all right? There are some guys on this list that I will be showing you that have no business being on an MVP ladder, all right? One of those names is Jarrett Allen. However, with the play that Chet Holmgren and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander have been giving us so far, it does not surprise me that they are on this list and could potentially make an All-NBA team this year, both be All-Stars, and then you can't leave out Jalen Williams either, who hasn't been playing as well as those two guys, but he has been picking it up a little bit, okay? He has been picking up the pace a little bit into this season, so we're going to break down specifically just our two guys, Shai and Chet, and then also just go into where I see them falling either in MVP voting or on an all-NBA team. We're going to break that down here today on Thunder Digest. Before we get into that, though, just a quick little reminder, if you guys want to stay up to date with anything Oklahoma City Thunder related here at Thunder Digest, and you want to support the channel here as well, the best way to do both of those things is to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and get into the video and topic at hand here today, talking about the MVP list and ladder. Now, like I mentioned, about to show you the picture. There are going to be names on there that have no business being on this list at all. All right? I'm going to be honest about that. But we do have to show it. So this is the list right now. Of course, they have Shai at number 1, Jokic at 2, Tatum at 3. No problems with that whatsoever. Then you have Jarrett Allen at 4, Chet at 5, Darius Garland at 6, AD at 7, Sabonis at 8, Buddy Hield at 9, and then Derek White at 10. So a little bit of things on here where we're like, whoa, what are they doing on this list? All right, first off, I can guarantee you, in 2 weeks, Jarrett Allen's not going to be on an early MVP list, okay? Along with Derek White, Buddy Hield, and Darius Garland, okay? The rest of them, I could definitely see, all right, just being honest. I have no problem with Shai, Jokic, and Tatum being 1 through 3 there. Chet at 5, I don't have a problem either. I would put Anthony Davis ahead of him, just being honest. And then I would go like Sabonis, and then whoever left is in like the, playings for MVP this year, realistically speaking. Guys like Curry, some of those guys. Luka not being on this list is also kind of shocking to see. I expected to see him on here. But here are the early favorites, and it's nice to see the Thunder have two guys in the top 5. Now, granted, like I mentioned, not the greatest list in the world to look at, okay? It's very early. MVP voting, it's not going to happen for a while. And some guys are just getting started. And both our guys have been struggling a little bit, to say the least, all right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he hasn't been shooting the 3-ball very well. Chet Holmgren, these past 2 or so games, he hasn't been playing well. It's just one of those things where it's still early in the season. Everyone's working out some kinks, all right? Everyone's getting the rust off themselves a little bit. So I don't expect this MVP ladder to stay the same. I truly don't. But speaking on our guys, how well they have been playing and the reason that we're off to a 7-1 start so far in the NBA, it's purely because of those two players right there. Without either one of them, we are a 500 team, being honest. And this is all without Isaiah Hartenstein, which is going to increase their production a little bit with the screens he sets and being able to space out the floor and go to work down low for offensive boards or pick and roll assists. All right, to help out this team with our offensive numbers, along with some other statistical help out, and advantages for the Thunder players as well. Now I'm going to go into our guys a little bit, looking at their stats so far in the season, because stats do tell, some of the story, especially when it comes to MVP voting. Stats tell a ton of the story. Shai this year, he's not scoring as much. We're still early in the season, so you could expect his scoring output to, increase a little bit throughout, especially when we become more healthy. 26 points per game, 6 rebounds, which is an increase from last year, 7 assists, which is also a 2 increase from last year, a blocking game, 1.5 steals per game. He's at 3 turnovers, which he hasn't been handling the ball very well. However, I do expect that to get better. Less than 2 fouls per game, which is nice to see. 48% from the field. We'll take that. I'm usually used to him being like 52, 51% from the field, but 48, that's still nice to have. But 26% from behind the 3-point line. That is not great to see. All right, that is the only thing that would hold him back from winning an MVP award this season, is his 3-point percentage. I do have faith it's going to increase. He will get better. He's just taking way too many three-point shots to start off this year. Okay? He just truly is. In the beginning, he was taking way too many pull-up threes, which I get we want to take more, but those aren't necessarily the shot, especially in transition. He needs to attack the rim and get the mid-range shots. But looking at some of these little stats here, 33% on corner threes, 15% of his threes are assisted, and 31% of all his shots are three-pointers. If he could just, instead of doing a bunch of dribble move three-pointers or, transition threes, and instead shoot them off of a catch, catch and shoot threes, I think his percentages would increase. Now over to Chet Holmgren, guy that's in 5th in the, early voting. 17 points per game, which is an increase from last year, 10 rebounds a game, 2 assists, 3 blocks, which is an increase, and a steal a game, along with less than 3 turnovers and only 2 fouls a game, which is nice to see. While also shooting 51% from the field and 35% from behind the three-point line. He's been looking really solid. He's really picked up his game quite a bit here in the start of the season. He truly has. I'm very impressed with how Chet has played. He is the reason we're playing so well. But if he didn't have this kind of production, like I mentioned, we would have lost 3 games already by now, I'm sure of. Especially without Isaiah Hartenstein helping him out down low in the middle, especially on defense. I have a feeling his blocks per game are going to increase from 3 all the way up to possibly 4 with Isaiah Hartenstein there, because he's going to be there for a lot of help side blocks. Chilling on the baseline. Notice someone comes in from, down low in the post. He comes in from behind and swats that away. I expect that increase. I'm also expecting an increase in points per game, because that Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren kind of pick and roll scenario is a nightmare scenario. You have to pick who you're going to guard here, all right? Because Chet can do everything. And Isaiah Hartenstein, he's going to beat you up down low. Look at some of these other things. 40% on corner threes. That's nice to see. All of his threes that he's made are assisted. We love to see that. 30% of all his shots are three-pointers as well. The fact he's shooting 35% from beyond the three-point line, and 30% of his shots are 31% of his shots are three-pointers. That's nice to see. It's just there are slight things that they do need to be better on. Shai needs to shoot the 3-ball better, okay? And Chet, only thing I really have for him is increase the scoring production. All right, he's fell off the last 2 games. I will say that. He has fell off the last 2 games. However, I want to see him shoot the ball more and score more points. I want to see him averaging 21, 22 a game this year. I truly do, and I think he can do that. I do. Those are only 2 things I really have for those guys. Do I think Chet Holmgren is going to be in the final kind of list for MVP contention? No. I do think he can make an All-NBA third team right along Jalen Williams. I do think that's his potential this season if he plays like we have been seeing him play, but not MVP. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, on the other hand, I could definitely see him winning MVP. He's rightfully earned the first, number 1 spot in the MVP rankings so far. He's earned that. At the time, we were undefeated. He was averaging 27 points per game, I believe, at the moment as well. He very much deserved that spot. I think after this week, he's going to drop down a little bit after a bad performance against Denver and us losing our first game. However, like I mentioned at the start of this, we're not going to read into MVP rankings this early. We just aren't, okay? But it is nice to see everyone kind of recognize Chet Holmgren's playing well, Shai's been playing well, and it wouldn't surprise me with how Dove's been playing now if he finds himself into that kind of MVP tier list in the top 10. That's all I got for this video. Let me know what you guys personally think. Where do you guys see Chet and Shai finishing with some awards and everything? Where do you see that happening? Let me know down in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next video.